Hi everybody, it's Aidan here once again, and welcome back to Rfactor2 as I've got another mod review for you. Now, before we go into anything else, as you can clearly see, this is Ayrton Senna's 1994 Williams, so before we get into it, I'm just going to say we're not going to talk about the crash, we're not going to talk about who killed who, we're not going to talk about if Benetton were cheating that year, and so on and so forth. We're just here to talk about the car, how it handles, should you download it, is it worth it, and so on and so forth. So I thought I'd get that out of the way before comment sections and things like that degrade into a slanging match between, what happened where. But like I said, this is Ayrton Senna and Damon Hill's FW16 from 1994. It's made by ASR, and this is one of their paid betas. So I mean, it costs like £1.50 to download it, so it's not like you're breaking the bank. And that donation helps them out. And they make really good cars, so I've got no problem with donating some money to help them. Now, the 1994 season, it was the first season I ever watched, and Imola 94 was the first race I ever watched. So yeah, what a way to open my account, as it were. I don't actually remember a lot about the race, but all I remember really is the wheel coming off one of the cars. I think it was a Minardi, and bouncing down the pit lane, and it hit a cameraman or a mechanic or something like that, and that's all I remember. So I don't remember bits and pieces. I mean, I was 3 years old when it happened. But anyway, 1994, a season of controversy, tragedy, and carnage. That's all we can use to describe some of the early parts of that season, as we had 2 drivers killed in 2 days. And we almost had 3 drivers killed in 3 days, if you remember Rubens Barrichello's accident on the Friday morning. So the 1994 season, just going into the technical aspect of it, it was the year that the FIA banned all driver aids, except for the semi-automatic gearboxes and power steering. Those are really the only driver aids that they had, and to be honest, they're still the only driver aids they have today. Anybody that says that modern Formula 1 cars have got traction control and things like that, they're wrong. They're talking garbage. They're not doing it. Stop pretending they do. But anyway, I'm just going to hop off my soapbox here. And 1994 also saw the reintroduction of refueling for the first time since 1983. And then after the fateful weekend at Imola in Spain, which was the first race after Monaco, the front wing end plates and rear diffusers were made smaller to reduce downforce. From Germany onwards, they brought in the wooden plank, which I think is still there today. I mean, Wikipedia says it's still in place as of 2015, but I don't think it's that page has been updated since. And the way it works is, if you don't know what the wooden plank does, is it kind of forces the ride height to be a little bit higher than what they would want to be, reduces downforce. Stops the car bottoming out. It's a safety thing, and if you have more than 1 millimeter of wear on it, then you're disqualified, and that actually caught Michael Schumacher out. I think was it Belgium? I think it was at Belgium. He hit the curbs at the bus stop chicane back when it looked like a bus stop, and it wore the plank down, so they disqualified him. So they kind of set a precedent with that. I think that's pretty much it. Oh yeah, at Canada they cut holes in the airbox to stop the engines from having too much horsepower in a straight line, to sort of eliminate the super high top speeds. And if we look at the actual model, you can see how exposed the driver is compared to how they are today. I mean, today they've got the high cockpit sides, they're very enclosed, you can just see the top of the helmet peeking out over the top, and things like that. So we've gone over the actual 1994 season. Sorry if I rambled all the way through that. We need to go now on to the Williams FW16's Wikipedia page. And what I'm going to do here is, whether I do it now or if I do it when I'm actually talking about the car, I'll put in the technical specifications off Wikipedia so you can see things in a little more detail, because I'll probably forget to talk about something. But anyway, as you can see, this car is running the iconic Rothmans tobacco livery, the red, white, blue and gold livery that ran from 1994 all the way to the end of 1997. This car was designed by Adrian Newey, and Adrian Newey is a name synonymous with constructors winning cars, as this car, it won the constructors but didn't win the drivers' championship. Michael Schumacher won it that year in controversial circumstances again, but we're not going to go there today. The four drivers were Damon Hill, Ayrton Senna, David Coulthard, and Nigel Mansell. And this car was basically the FW16 of 1993, but with all the technical gizmos ripped out. And this was a sort of a point of argument between Adrian Newey and Ayrton Senna, as Senna said you can't just use the previous car and rip all the bits out, it'll be undrivable. But Newey said it'll be fine. And once again, Senna was right. And Adrian Newey even admitted later, yeah, we made an absolute cock-up of this car. Because by ripping all the technical gizmos out, they had to go back to learning about anti-roll bars and springs and all the passive bits again. So this car had a really narrow window in which it worked properly in the first sort of 3 or 4 races of the season. And I think it was like the day before he died or the day he died, Senna said to Gerhard Berger, actually the car's getting better. And I think by Spain it will be a race winner. And lo and behold, at the Spanish Grand Prix, Damon won the race. So I don't know if Senna was a fortune teller or not, but yeah, he seemed to be right about these things. So the chassis included, and these are words I can't pronounce, but I'm just going to move straight onto the engine. 67-degree V10 engine by Renault Sport turned the RS6 and delivered approximately 830 horsepower. The transmission was a lightened version of the 6-speed transverse gearbox that was used in 1993 and semi-automatic, as opposed to the fully automatic system that they had used before. The FW16 featured power-assisted steering, hydraulically driven and reacting to input from electronic sensors, which was a sort of an adaptation of what they used before, but made legal for 1994. And it did not have adjustable anti-roll bar controls accessible by the driver from the cockpit, which was present in the FW15C and earlier Williams F1 cars, again, to make sure that it was fully legal for the 1994 season. So I think that's pretty much it, because a lot of the other stuff on this Wikipedia page is about the adjustments they made for Imola, which I'm not going to go into because we're not here for that. We're going to look at the model. Now, as I said, it is pre-Imola. I think this is like the Interlagos setup. But I mean, looking at the textures, okay, we've got some blur at the back on the Rothmans logo and the Goodyear logo. But I'm not going to complain too much because of it being a beta and things like that. The tyres, I think the tyres have been reused. I mean, the textures have been reused on the FW18, which is the first mod review I ever did. And you can see that by clicking in the top right-hand corner now. Apologies for the crap quality on that. I had a different monitor back then. But yeah, we've got all the details that you'd expect to see on a tyre. I can't get right in like I can on a Assetto Corsa, which is a bit of a shame. But we've got, like, it says 93 to 97. That's the optimum temperature of the tyre. Then set number 4. Goodyear tyres, as we used back then. But I mean, like, all of this, you know, we're looking at Assetto Corsa quality from ASR in Rfactor2, which is, you know, phenomenal. But if I press enter and bring up the little menu that we have, we've got a few cool little features that ASR like to put in that you can find on the FW18 as well. We can take the engine cover off and we can see the airbox and where all the air goes into the engine and the radiators and things like that. So that's pretty cool. We can see the rear suspension springs and the suspension bars, and probably get to the diffuser as well if we go all the way around the other side. Oops. Yep, you can see the diffuser and all that good stuff. But we're going to put that back on because we don't want to be driving around without it, because I'll forget to put it back on. You watch. Excuse me. We've got a... Come on. We've got a high downforce option as well, which would have been used at places like Monaco. That's really cool. We can decide which side we want the T-cam on depending on which side the fueling hose is. So having it on that side would be at places like Silverstone, and then that side would be at places like Interlagos, which, yeah, it's just little details like that. That's really cool. We can have the visor on, or we can have the visor off. That's just something in the cockpit view that makes it look like you're wearing a a helmet. And sorry if I hit my microphone there. I'm going to leave that off because I left it on for the FW18 review. Then we've got Senna sat in the car. We've got Senna standing outside of his car. And then we've got Senna off. We're going to put him back in the car because that's where he was most at home. But, yep, there's not a lot else to say about that. I mean, everything is as it was in 1994. I mean, I'm looking at this and thinking, you know, where's the cockpit gone? They've just cut a massive hole out, but that's how it was back then. It's strange looking at it now compared to today with what they have. So, yeah, we should just go to a track and see how this car handles. If it is like Senna described, being undrivable, if you got the setup completely wrong. So, which track am I taking it to? Well, it was a toss-up between Interlagos and Imola, and I have decided Imola, the 1994 configuration, because we've got unfinished business. We'll take it there and we'll just drive it. We're not going to talk about the crash, we're not going to talk about anything like that, and so on. We're just going to see how the car is. So without further ado, let's just get this car down to Imola. I'll stop talking now and we'll talk about the actual car as it's moving. So join me in Italy for a test session. Okay, let's turn the engine off slightly. Have a quick look on the inside of the car. I don't know what PHM means, but we've got all the details as you'd expect to find inside a Williams cockpit. The stars, which indicate... That's my wife's hairdryer going off. Stars that indicate the races it won. I don't know what the colours mean. I think red might mean a win, and so on. But anyway, we've got 6 forward gears, and we've got 1 for reverse. So, without messing around too much, stick it back in neutral, start the engine. V10 goodness. And off we go. We're on a green track, so we've got to rubber it in ourselves. And it's a layout I haven't driven in a very long time, so if I do spin out, if I put it in a wall, I apologise. We will do our best. Revs build as we head up to Tosa. I'm going to brake very early because the brakes are not warm and neither are the tyres, and there's no rubber on the track. There's a chicane here, isn't there? I remember. I haven't driven this track layout since Grand Prix 2. What a game that was. And I am a serial curb hopper as well. So I've got to remember to stay off the curbs as I go through the chicanes. After Barrichello's accident on the Friday morning of the 1994 race, the FIA standardised curb heights on all tracks to stop cars being launched into walls. Oops. Stay off the curbs! God damn it! Oops. And right there, I was in a situation of, do I take it in second or do I take it in first? I can't remember. But as I've just locked the rears, I'm going to jack that quite far forward. Don't think I flat spotted the tyres, but... Oh god. Maybe a setup tweak is required. The version of this car we're driving is probably the pre-Imola version. That was hard stopping through there. I keep calling that the Barrichello chicane. There is a name for it, but I can't remember what it is. But we can see the brake discs glowing. That's pretty cool. Oh god. And the glow effect on that, that's fantastic. I can almost feel the warmth from this side of the computer screen. Oops. Imola is completely different today. Had to lift off to get some turn in there, like Fernando Alonso method. But even the exit curves have got a bit of height on them. But see what I mean? If you try to hit the curves, it's like being in a V8 supercar. Getting launched onto two wheels. And the suspension in these cars won't take that kind of abuse. Oh, God. Alright. Oh, but look at that glow. That is fantastic. I love that. Let's try one more lap. But I'm getting the sense that this car is as difficult to drive as Senna and Damon said it was. I'm taking the line that Damon took through Tamburello there. The back end really wants to go, but I am driving on the default setup, so that might have something to do with it. It's definitely more controllable and more drivable than the FW16 is out of the box. I can just feel the back end as I come out of some of these corners. Really wants to go from me. I mean, even with the brake balance quite far forward, it's still wanting to lock the rear wheels up. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to bring it into the pits, park up, I'll do some setup tweaks, I'll cut the video while we do the setup tweaks. And then we'll go back out and we'll see what happens. Now, I don't think I should have to do too much to the car. This car is drivable. It just needs that extra bit of tweaking to make it perfect. But it's not like the FW18 where as soon as you went into a corner the back end was gone. And ASR's cars tend to be understeery or oversteery. They're never planted. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to cut the video, I'm going to do some setup tweaking, and we'll come back and we'll see what that does for the car. So I'll be back in a moment.
6 hours later.
Alright, so welcome back. I've made a few adjustments to the wing, to the anti-roll bars, to the front suspension, and did I say the front wing and the rear wing? I've tweaked that as well. So without messing around too much, Fire her up. And let's go. Soften the front end. I've set the anti-roll bars to get that turn in, which is what I like. You know, mileage may vary. You might have a different setup idea to me. Ooh. As I went through Tamburello just then, I felt the wheel kick to the right as I hit a bump. Felt very weird. Move my brake balance back to 60%. That's where I liked it before. I don't normally put brake balance that far forward, but in this car you kind of need it because the rear brakes do like to lock, and it was a little bit screwed under braking, but as for actual turning and initial corner grip, the car feels close to where I would want it. Still a little bit of understeer, but maybe that's because I'm trying to drive it like a 2017 car, and that's just not going to happen. But I am liking it. Maybe a tiny bit more front wing is needed, but we'll do a lap and we'll see where we stand at the end of it. Yeah, a little bit of front wing is going to be needed. We get a little bit of a lock-up into the final chicane. I'm going to stay off that curb on the outside because it's just dangerous. Temptation is there to ride that exit curb, but there's just no grip on it. Back end is definitely a lot better than it was. I haven't driven a car like this in so long. But it feels like I could take it for a race distance if I sat down and tweaked it a little more. I'm trying not to get distracted by that disc brake glow, because... Sorry, that brake disc glow, because it's beautiful. It's my favourite feature of the car, I think. Oop. But I am getting the sense that this car feels like how Damon and I described it. A little bit twitchy, has a narrow window in which you can use it effectively. It's challenging, I'll give it that. It's by no means easy to drive, nowhere near as easy to drive as later cars. Oh god. I mean, the ASR Ferrari F2004 that I've driven in Assetto Corsa, that was an easy car to drive. Maybe because it had way more downforce, but that was an easy car to drive. This is not. I wouldn't say it's a car that if you are brand new to sim racing you could just get into and go with. I think you need to know a little bit about what you're doing to get the most out of it. And I think right now I have got the most out of it. I'm not a setup guru. I don't know what a packer is or a slow rebound is. I know nothing about that. I do the very basic setups to get where I need to go, and then I'll work around it from there. So, should you download it? Yeah, I think you should. If you want to get that mid-90s Formula 1 experience, go for it. But, you know, just be warned that it's not going to be easy to drive. I managed to ride the curve there, but I wasn't going anywhere near as fast as I would want to be going. Oh, and there's that bump again. It's really disconcerting. You go through Tamburello and you just feel this little bump and the steering wheel wants to go to the right. Oops. Back end went a little bit twitchy there, but that's down to the force feedback being really good. That's something I don't really talk about when I review the cars. Is that yeah, the force feedback is there. I mean, I'm not using the best wheel in the world. I use a Driving Force GT, but the force feedback does give me enough information to know what the back end is about to do, and the front end as well. It gives me enough of a warning that you're going to slide off the road, or your back end's about to go. Alright, one more lap. Tamburello for the final time. There's that kick again. Really disconcerting. But now that I've done a few laps with this setup, a little bit more confidence has appeared. I think that corner could be taken faster, but that's all the bravery I've got. If you want to know Damon's thoughts on this car, buy his book, Watching the Wheels. A fantastic read. He talks about how the Williams of this year was better to get it from the horse's mouth rather than what some guy on the internet says. Oops. Well, not a good way to end the final lap, but oh well. Well, that's the Williams FW16. Hope you enjoyed. Please remember to like and subscribe. And what I'm going to do here is yeah, I think this is probably the best place to leave it. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you again very soon.